on camera. Call the meeting to order. Have the opening prayer. Almighty God, you have blessed us with memory, reason, and skill. Help us to use them wisely in the service of our town government. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, you have the minutes of August the 11th. Any addition, deletion to those minutes? Not to have a motion to be accepted?
Make motion to accept the minutes.
No second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
You have the planning board report. You have the code enforcement officer's report. At this time, we generally open the meeting to the public. Anyone wishing to address the board at this time from the public? Your minutes.
John Southwick with John Roll, and he'll be doing most of the talking on behalf of the Champlain Memorial Library. We're asking for you to consider an increase in the town's portion of our library. We've had some setbacks as far as who contributes. We do a yearly business as well as house-to-house survey to try to increase our income. You presently are giving us, I believe, $1,600, and we'd like an increase of $2,000 to $2,500. I'll let John go over our statistics, our budget, expenses.
Our overall expenses for the year are roughly, in round figures, $12,000. And our income comes out to be roughly $9,000. That leaves us a shortage of roughly $3,000, which we try to make up with drives and personal donations. I just want to give an idea of how much we're getting from the other communities. The Village of Champlain donation is $2,000. The school, Northeastern Clinton School, donates $3,000. And we've been getting from the town $1,600, I think, for the last 3 years. And thus we're asking for an increase in the town's donation. Are there any questions on our expenses? The expenses are the routine fuel, electricity, telephone, insurance, water, sewer, librarian, books, maintenance, supplies, and so forth. And the income comes from the 3 communities, plus we get a grant from the county of $800, and a grant from the Clinton Essex Franklin Library for $1,400. Roughly that comes up to about $9,000, so we're short of the $3,000, which we try to make up with the drives. And for 2 years, 94 and 95, where we didn't have any drive at all. We had a drive in 93, and then we had a drive last year. So that's basically the outlook on our expenses and income. Any questions on that?
So you're about $3,000 short?
Yeah, right.
What you're saying from budget to
The
income?
difference between our expenses and our income.
It's $3,000.
So we'd like, what we're doing is requesting an increase in the town's proportion from $1,600 up to $2,500. And the people, I checked with the librarian, and the people who use the library come from all over. We have some that come in from Canada, from Hemingford. Some come from the village of Champlain, but there are a lot that come from the outskirts, all over any place in the township of Champlain.
You still have that children's reading hour or whatever it was? That's
Yes,
still going
yeah,
on?
Yeah. That throughout the summer.
Well, you're right before budget time, so. Did they give you, no, we didn't give them Yes, we did. Did you turn in your budget request sheet?
No,
I mailed one to somebody.
I didn't receive it.
I'll see that you get
Remember who
one.
it went to? Ralph, would it have gone to, Doug Agor is our president.
I don't think I sent it to Doug, because I think I mailed it to the village office.
Make sure it gets to John. Okay.
You have it,
What does
Melissa?
it mean?
Okay. I'm sure.
You have it, Melissa?
I know, but I'll check with Joanne. She may have forwarded on to Doug Agor, so we'll find out.
Okay.
Make sure it gets to John.
Need another one, Howard.
Okay.
When's it have to be in, Ralph?
They wanted
Yesterday.
it,
Yesterday. Well, it's been in, but it must be somewhere.
but
Look around.
they asked for the 18th. Requested the 18th.
I got one right here.
Anything else, John?
Any other questions?
I don't think so. Anybody have any questions for us? Want to know anything?
I think there's a point here that we have to make a strong plea because Ross's point is fully funded by the village. And I realize it's a different organization because it's under the auspices of the village itself. Champlain Memorial Library is a separate organization, so we have to go begging and pleading. We do have some good drives, and as John said, we missed a couple of years. We went last year, and we will go again this year. So it's not like the members sit back and wait for money to come in. We go out and try to get it. We appreciate anything that town board can do for us.
Well, certainly taken into consideration. Anyone else care to address the public on the board at this time? The public?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. State your name and
Dan Mink, Ridge Road resident. I'm inquiring what the status is on the zoning proposal that's been back and forth for the last 6 months or so now.
seek was finalized on what, the 13th?
Oh, good luck.
Seek was, I think it's just about done.
It's going to take me a minute here, so. Essentially, that's what it is.
I think the CEQA deadline for anybody requesting lead agency status, that would change our lead agency status, the final day is the 13th.
13th of September.
Yes.
Yeah, the notice went out on August 13th.
So we're not on August 13th, listed September the 13th is the deadline for that. So after that, I would imagine the next meeting there'll be something done.
Great, thanks.
Right? Anyone else care to address the board?
Mr. Beal, Arson Barrow, Route 276, down to Champlain. Myself and 6 other people have been working on a committee to study the fire departments and fire district or whatever. I just learned recently, in fact tonight, that there's a law out somewhere that says the town of Champlain cannot have a fire department unless there is no villages inside the town.
Well, we've been reviewing the law, but of course, as a layperson, I interpret the law, it may be wrong, but I think it does state that yes, a town may not form a fire district in a village. A town may not form a fire protection district in a village. Unless, I think, if that village dissolves that fire department, then I think it's allowed to be formed. But what I would like to do is to give this packet of recommendations to our attorney and have him contact the Conference of Towns and to see what the rules and regulations out there are and to see what we really can do. We just received this packet the other day and we made up packets for all the councilmen. They should review it. and we should make sure what the legal requirements are.
This committee, like I say, met several times. Would you care for some kind of report,
Yes.
conclusion on that? Would you want it now or later on down the road?
Well, we've got time.
Okay,
You've got time.
I won't take any more time than, we studied all the different options there was, and we feel that additional funding to the fire departments does not guarantee the fire departments the additional money. And after listening to a lot of people on the fire department, and Councilman Wallet will vouch for that because he was on the committee, the fire department does need additional funding. After a lot of discussion and several meetings, we come to the conclusion that a town fire department would be easier to get approval than the town fire district. Town fire department would be controlled by the town board. Town fire district would be controlled by 5 commissioners. Listening to all the people around, I think there's quite a bit of opposition to a fire district at this time. However, even if this town does, and it's legal, form a fire district or a fire department, the town of Champlain can expect their rate to increase at least twice what it is now. It's 61 cents. In order to operate a fire department and put money away for capital investments and increase funding so that they can go to school, it's going to take roughly $162,000 budget versus the 104 now that the village Champlain has, including the 40,000 they get from the town. Take that additional, and Russ's point, as far as we know at this point, has no interest in joining or leaving their fire department. So we would have to request, it's our conclusion, protection from the village in addition to having the town fire department. The price for that protection would have to be negotiated. At the present time, it's also $40,000. We feel, as a committee, that the fire department really needs to have additional funding. And there's only one way to get it and guarantee that the fire department will get it, is by having a town fire department. If anybody has any questions, I'll try and answer it. It was the consensus of the committee out of 7 people. And at this time, I want to thank all the people that were on the committee that worked real hard to come up with this stuff. Bad Area's got some figures for us, and a lot of people were real helpful in it. I also thank the town board for putting me on the committee after I volunteered, of course, but I really enjoyed it. And I learned a lot about the fire department, and I feel that something has to be done. And anything that's legal, I would consider that this board would really do it. And even if the taxpayers in the town get an increase, it'd be worth it down the road for better protection, because the firemen will have money that's available for equipment stuff. So now I want to thank all the firemen, because there's a lot of people that came up and talked with us and helped us out to make our decision. So it's a committee leans at this point to the town fire department, and I thank everybody that helped us out. And I'll answer any questions that anybody has.
Now, when you say a town fire department, are you saying that we should establish a new firehouse and a separate volunteer force? Or are you saying that, no, we should take over the village fire station?
Myself, and I do not believe that the present fire station is suitable for a town fire department. It can be used for, a couple of years and rented from the village. If the village dissolves their fire department, I'm sure that legally, somewhere along the line, it's the town's responsibility to get a fire department. And this equipment, once it's dissolved from the village, should be available for purchase. Their building should be available for rental at a price, that have to be worked out with the people in the village. But the equipment would eventually belong to the town. And down the road, as the assessment grows, I believe the town could somehow or other build a fire station that's centrally located to better suit all the residents of the town of Champlain. But I see at the present time, if the town's going to have a fire department, that the space is limited where the fire department is now. And if it ever grows to any amount, the town would own a building that is not usable in the future.
Melissa, does the village of Champlain have a fire protection contract with I think it's your Niagara Hose Hook and Ladder Company?
Niagara Hose Hook and Ladder is the actual membership, the firemen themselves, and then the Champlain Fire Department is actually one of our village departments. I don't know if that answers your question. I've
Is
never
there any
seen a
contract
formal-
out there between the village and the fire department?
Red, you might know better than I. I've never seen any formal contract. The chief reports to the board, and the chief has authority over the department.
Years ago.
The chief and the assistant chief belongs to the village of
Champlain Fire
Champlain.
Department.
And the other guys belong to Niagara Hose Company.
But you don't know of any contract out there between the two parties?
There was.
Any one of the two parties?
25 years ago, when I was secretary of the fire department, there's one way back, and I wouldn't know where it is at this time. I'm talking over 25 years ago, when I was secretary there, but I haven't seen it. I think I seen it once when I was secretary. My father, when he gave me all the records when he was secretary, I took it over from him, and I don't know where it went from there.
Well, certainly, it probably would be void now.
Yeah, it probably would be. I think it's just something that they've volunteered their service to the Champlain Fire Department.
If I might just for a second, Arnie, one of my concerns, of course, serving on the committee was that whatever we recommended be acceptable to the fire department. And I have spoken to the chief, the head of Montgomery Hose, or Niagara Hose Hook and Ladder, and there is an awareness, of course, in both those organizations about what this committee has done and a willingness to, should that happen, become the town fire department, to have Niagara Hose, Hook and Ladder pick up and work with the town of Champlain Fire Department as your volunteer firemen. So that, the firemen are well aware of the recommendation.
That they would have to dissolve the fire department?
Only the Champlain Fire Department would have to dissolve, not Niagara Hose Company.
No, not Niagara.
Right. And as you said, obviously there are a lot of
The legal
different things
ramification
that-
is
right.
what takes place is
Right.
what we would like to check out.
Sure.
And I'm not qualified, and certainly Henry, you had never done this. So I think we should go to somebody that has done this before and find out what the legal ramifications are. So we do thank you for all the work and time that you put into this committee, and we do appreciate it.
I might say that at times we've had a provision in the fire protection contracts that stated that a certain percentage of the revenues of the pursuant to the contract would go to the fire company. I'm not even sure if that's in there now, but I know it has been in there in the past.
Mr. Even though, that
got a guarantee like that. Say, at the present time, the village is funding at 64,000, we're funding 40. If we were to increase it to 60, it doesn't mean that the village is going to guarantee 64,000. They might fund it at 44. So there's no guarantee that the fire department is going to get the additional money that is collected from the town taxpayers. So even though
Well, that problem arises because you don't have a contract between the fire department and the village. There really should be a contract between those two departments, I believe. And then that's where you would set the part that the town gives, how much actually goes to that fire department.
But you see, Artie, all of the fire department money is funded through the Champlain Fire Department, through the board itself. Do you know what I'm saying? Niagara Hose, Hook and Ladder is a volunteer organization. To the best of my knowledge, we don't provide any financial support to the men that I'm aware of at all. As a matter of fact, they just redid the parking lot up there for us, and they tend to do the fundraising and actually give things to the fire department. And so I guess maybe if you're talking about specifying how much the village would have to allocate of the payment to the fire department, and maybe that's...
Well, there's two different items that enter, and sometimes a village fire department will own some of the equipment, and the fire department, Niagara, would own other parts of the equipment. There you would have a contract that says, okay, we own the ambulance, and we'll charge you for the service of the ambulance. There's different ways and reasons why you would have a contract. I mean, it's not only the funding, but the other part of it.
Well, we raised the money for the ambulance and stuff, and we had to, you have to turn it over to the village.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, we had to for...
Unless you have bylaws that says that or something, but it's not mandatory that you turn it
The
over.
clause that Henry's talking about was in the contract years ago when I was a trustee. It was 33 1/3%. Had to go to the fire department. The money that the town paid had to go to the fire department itself. That was taken out when they built a new fire station with the agreement of the fire department at that time that they would take it, do away with that to help pay for the station. But the agreement was, and I don't know if it's ever been taken further or not, that if the town raised 5%, gave you 5% more, then a percentage of that would go back to the fire department. So they would build it back up eventually.
See, I don't know, we budget on a whole department basis, and so the only way I know to look at it, I could give you the line items that go to the fire and the EMS, but we take in 40,000 from the town, and we spend 106 on the fire department, so to me, the whole 40,000 is spent on the fire department.
No, yeah, I know, but the part that Henry's talking about was in the contract. When that 40,000 came in, we'll say it was 40,000 back then.
Right.
33 1/3 of that went to the fire department. The village could not put it in their budget.
Oh, so it went to Niagara?
No, it to the Niagara Hose
Just a
Company.
direct pass-through?
Just, all the village was is a direct pass-through for that 33 1/3%. And when the station was built, that was temporarily put down, but it was supposed to have been built back up over the years as the town raised there. But I don't think it ever has.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
No,
that.
and I understand that,
Yeah.
Melissa.
I don't know. And of course, that
But I
was,
don't know if it's still in the contract or not, Henry.
I'd have to look.
that was a big issue for the committee, that, you know, as Arsen said, if the town gave us extra revenue, it's hard to bind future boards to spend that in a certain place. And just as it's hard to bind your board to continue giving the extra revenue, although I will say, I'm putting in my request, and I will be glad to promise you that any extra penny you see fit to give us will go right to the fire department next year. So when you get my request in at your next board meeting, I'll be glad to agree. If you want to do that, we'll channel it right to the fire department. We'll increase their allocation. I think that would be a great idea, but you'll be able to decide on that after you get the request.
Any other discussion from the board? Any other discussion from the floor? Okay.
I don't have very much, but I did want to tell you that our sales tax projection is way above budget this year. We're quite pleased with that. We don't know if it's all the spending because of the ice storm, but whatever, we're taking it. And you'll be getting your share also. Our budget preparations are starting. We have a public hearing for Clinton Community College budget tomorrow evening. So we're getting ready for all that. We're also currently negotiating with Casella, and some of the issues are the convenience stations and the transfer station. They claim they're losing $400,000 a year in those two areas. The Newell Court properties, of course, they have sued the county because they're right near Schuyler Falls landfill. So Casella's looking at that, and if they buy those properties, of course, they're looking for something from the county for that. So there are a lot of issues there. But do you have anything for me?
I talked to Rodney Brown today.
Yes.
I told Rodney I was getting ready for my budget. Rodney, where's my HUD money? He says it's coming. It's probably around the 1st of October. And, he gave me the figures on it, so at least we can plug those in.
Okay. Well, you can always contact me if there's anything.
If I don't get it the 1st of October, I will contact you.
Please call.
Tell Rodney.
I'll go
He's
get
got
it
till
for
the
you,
1st.
Rodney.
I don't want to hear the checks in the mail. Does anyone care to address the board this time? Thank you very much. Okay, gentlemen. Number 1 on your agenda. This is from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and it says, Dear Mr. Beal, I conducted an inspection of the above referenced site yesterday and found that the town sand pit at the Ferris Mill property has been accepted and reclaimed in accordance with provision Article 23 of the Environmental Conservation Law. Your cooperation in reclaiming this mine site is appreciated. This is from David Cost. So we officially closed on that sand pit. Did you get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Number 2 on your agenda is from the Empire State Development. And it goes to read, Mr. Beal, I'm hereby transmitting for your information the general project plan of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development Corporation, for the Champlain Plastic Expansion Project in Clinton County. A public hearing, which is required by the UDC Act, will be held at the corporation's Champlain Town Hall, Champlain, New York, on September the 11th, 1998 at 10 a.m. to consider the general project plan. You're welcome to attend this hearing and make a statement about the project if you wish. Your attendance is not mandatory, but there will be a meeting at 11 o'clock here in the town of Champlain on the Champlain Plastics Urban Development Corporation grant. Number 3 on your agenda is from the assessors, county directors, mayor, supervisors, and school district superintendent and business managers. And that is on the taxpayers' Bill of Rights. And I'll see that each one of you get a copy of this Bill of Rights form. Next piece of correspondence we have is from John McHugh, Congressman of the United States. And this is in regards to that letter that we sent him on the resolution. I appreciate your sharing with me the town board's expression of interest in proposed legislation, providing states with the authority to review rate changes by non-utility generators to utilities. I met recently with both the New York State and Cal Energy representatives and had the opportunity to discuss their particular views on the measures as well. I hope you understand the complexity of this matter. The Solomon Bill has not yet been subject to congressional hearings. Until that happens, the details on which I may be based and informed decisions about measured impact will not be known. I am reluctant to co-sponsor a bill which has not thoroughly been examined. I recognize and appreciate the board's position on this matter. As a former state legislator, my philosophy has generally been that the power rate should be under the purview of the various state authorities. I have not heard anything thus far from the office of my opinion in this regard. Rest assured that should the legislation receive favorable consideration at the committee level, I will make every effort to review this situation very closely so I may make an informed decision and cast a vote in the best interests of the residents of the 24th and Guestville districts. Again, I appreciate hearing from you. I hope the board will continue to share in their views on matters before Congress, as I value their input. Signed, John McHugh. Number 5 on your agenda is from the real property. Section 11573 of the real property tax law authorized payments of state monetary assistance to municipalities which maintain systems of improved real property tax administration that meet standards established by the State Board of Real Property Service. I am pleased to inform you that the town of Champlain has met those standards and is eligible for a maintenance aid payment based on its 1996 final assessment roll. Since your municipality completed a reassessment of the 1996 assessment roll, you are eligible for maintenance aid in the amount of $5 per parcel. A state aid voucher in the amount of $14,350 has been forwarded to the Office of the State Controller for payment. The aid payment was computed based on a partial count of 2,870, which was extracted from your 1996 15C file. So we did receive the monies, but we have another letter in here that, I don't know if I think it's on, you had it on the bill, report that 7,000. Actually, we only received half of this, right, Pat?
Yes.
14,350 divided by 2, because the county gets half of that for their assistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their assistance that they perform with Pat. Number 6 on your agenda is Clinton County Office for the Aging, and it's dear supervisor. I would like to invite you and the members of the town council to attend a public hearing to be held in Champlain on Tuesday, September the 15th. The meeting will be held in the American Legion Hall beginning at 12 noon. A list of the 7 hearings to be held at this agency during the month of September is enclosed. These annual meetings with senior citizens, their caregivers, government officials, members of the clergy, and other interested citizens serve a very special purpose. The information which we secure about issues which affect them and their views of the access service available to them help us plan for the future and advocate on behalf of their seniors. We very much hope that any members of the town council will join on the 15th to give us the benefit of your experience of working with the town's older residents. If you wish to secure additional information about this event, please call me at 565-4620. That's Catherine Felty. So gentlemen, if you want to have an afternoon with us old people, and of course you have a notice from New York State DEC on the lamprey. And I guess they will be, what's the date on it? It's a CEQA 2 project. This type of one action will have a significant impact on the environment. The negative declaration is on file according to review of their other agencies performed. That's the Bureau of the Fisheries. And they do this, is that last year they did?
9/10, I think.
9/10/98. So that's tomorrow. I know that. Letter from Life Flight. This letter, just to summarize it, is that they're thanking us for the past cooperation and help that we give them in a monetary value. North Country Life Flight provides aeromedical service to the localities, and we support them. I think it's $100 we give towards them.
Yeah.
Last year's budget. So they're more or less securing for next year's budget too. Number 9 is the fact sheet. This is notice of state intends to purchase more lands for the forest reserves, and you have some interested people out there that are very concerned about this in Franklin County, in St. Lawrence County, and Herkimer. The state is interested in purchasing more land, and of course they are in opposition to it. That's for your information, gentlemen. Number 10 is professional Christ Service employees benefits. And after the violence that we've had at schools and everything, they're offering services for the towns and local governments. That's for your information. Number 11, of course, this is in a big packet. I'd like to read the first letter, and it's very good news. I think thanks to a lot of work by Mr. Jules Trahan and also Mr. Castine. We've obtained, this letter goes to read us from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in its reference to the Champlain Town landfill site. The department has reviewed the proposed revision of the Champlain landfill monitoring schedule. The attached revision changes the sampling schedule from quarterly to semi-annually. It is acceptable and will replace the original schedule in the post-closing monitoring plan. As per the modified schedule, the next sampling event will occur in the fourth quarter of 1998. Please contact me if you have any questions. Denise Wagner. Of course, Jules will probably report tonight on what they went through to get that. But, that's very good news because that cuts that down, well, probably 50%. We hope.
40 at least, and money.
Now, on your post agenda, gentlemen, this is number 12, and you're going to see that that's where that recently, this is from the real property office, and this is recently your municipality received a maintenance aid check of $14,350. According to our previous agreement, the Clinton County portion should be 50% of that amount, $7,175. So please forward your check made to the Clinton County Treasurer, to Mrs. Janet Dupree, County Treasurer. So we will do that. Okay, this is a letter from Pat, and it's reference to the Board of Assessment Review. And it's to the board members, and it goes to say, the Board of Assessment Review member, Francis Robert, term expires September the 30th, 1998. He has been a Town of Champlain Board of Assessment Review member since 1987. He has served through 3 assessment updates and deserves our many thanks for his thankless job. He has acted in a fair and equitable manner in all his determinations as a board member. He has graciously stated that we will accept another 5-year term, October the 1st, 1998, to September the 30th, 2003. I strongly recommend the Town Board reappoint Francis Robert to the Town of Champlain Board of Assessment Review.
Also move.
It's been moved by Mr. Cookman. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second, Mr. Tran. Is there any discussion? No discussion. We have a roll call vote. Mr. Wallet?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Cookman?
Aye.
Mr. Tran?
Aye.
Supervisor votes aye. Number 14, you may not have a copy of this, gentlemen. This is managing local government looking forward and looking back, and it's a workshop session scheduled for Tuesday, September the 22nd, and it's in Potsdam. There are several workshops. The cost is $25 until September the 11th and $30 after that. Group registration are reduced at $20 per person in a group. The workshops are assessors, the STAR School Tax Assessment Relief Program. And then with the board members, it's the year 2000 budget and finance, municipal clerks, planning and zoning, and public works. Is there anybody that'd like to attend any of these? I would like to go to one of them, but I really don't know if I'm free that day. I got to check. With the board's permission, I'd like to go to the one on board members. Have a motion? Move. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Just you or anybody wants to?
Anybody wants to go? Is that okay, board? Yes, anybody wants to go. I'd like to have an executive meeting tonight. This is on a legal matter. Article 7. Have a motion. We have a
I move for the executive session.
second.
Second.
Any discussion? Motion carried. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Gentlemen, you have your budget request out there. You can get them in as soon as you can. I went around checking on computers this past week, the computer for my office. We have an MRA computer request. His price is $1,389. I checked with Staples, a comparable, Staples is a little bit better model, but their model is $2,349.98. MRA has what we want. They are cheaper, so with the board's permission, I'd like to purchase the hardware quote, software quote from MRA Computers in the amount of $1,389.
Also move.
So moved by Mr. Cookman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wallet. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried. Now, there is one other thing I want to do, and that's I want to link up the computers. If Pat is sitting in her office and she has to go get some information out of Barb's computer, through a link up, she can go into Barb's computer and get that information. If Barb happens to be in her office and she needs some information from Pat's programs, she can go into Pat's program and look and get that information. The same thing is if Jane has to go into Ralph, if he's not here, she can go into his computer. She can do dog license, hunting license, anything through this link network. The approximate cost on that is $800. That's 5 link-up cards and the software installation price. We have to do rewiring on Pat's office and also have to rewire Barb's office with another 8 conductor. But I told him I'd do that. So I'd like to also have the motion that the board we can purchase up to $800 for that link-up system.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Red. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Trahan. Is there any discussion on that motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next thing on the agenda I have is I got 2 bids for seal coating the driveway out front, parking lot. The northern blacktopping bid is seal coat for approximately 19,665 square feet. Any grass overlay pavement will be removed. All areas for petroleum saturation shall be burned and coated with oil primer, oil spot primer. The pavement shall be thoroughly cleaned by use of a fire air broom to remove all dirt and debris. Apply 2 coats of rubberized tarconite coal tar pavement sealer. 3 pounds of sand per gallon of sealer will be added to provide the non-skid service. Run a sealing schedule so as not to interfere with the establishment operations and barricade off area to be sealed. Price $1,770. I went out and got another bid. This is from R&R Asphalt Sealer, and their agreement is to clean and fill cracks as required using asphalt crack and joint compound. All areas of petroleum saturated shall be burned, scraped using a steel bristle steel broom and coated with oil spot primer. The pavement shall be thoroughly cleaned to remove all dirt and debris. Apply 2 coats of tar annulation, which meets all and exceeds all the requirements of the U.S. Air Force, FAA, and federal government specifications. Number. In accordance with the manufacturer's specification, finished coating shall represent a coverage rate of, doesn't have the 3 gallons, should be gallons per 6 square yards per gallon. 3 pounds of silica sand and a grated oil slag added per gallon mixture. Approximate square feet is 19,500, and the price is $1,072.50. That's $1,072.50.
Plus the
He has
250.
striping on there for $250. Do you remember what we paid last time for that striping out there? Wasn't it about that price?
I think so.
I'd like,
Is it this parking lot or the one?
This one here.
Parking
This
lot?
one here.
This one.
I'd like to leave the striping off because I was very well satisfied with the guy that we had striped it last time. And I'd like to get him back to stripe it after we do the seal coat.
You get the guy out of Peru?
I think he's out of Peru, Plattsburgh.
Yeah.
So you have the one price for $1,770, and the other price is $1,072.50.
So you got a $700 difference?
$700 difference between it, and I've checked, and everything looks to be compatible with what he's doing, you know, comparable. So it's up to you, gentlemen, which bid should we accept? Or should we do it?
Has anybody ever seen any of the work this R&Rs did? I've never heard of them myself.
Why do we want to seal it this year? We just put it down.
Well, you should seal it the year after.
Yeah, didn't we put it down this year? Or was it
No, last year.
Last year, okay, I'm sorry. I
Time
thought it
goes
was-
by. That's great.
What time flies in having fun.
Well, we can give this R&R a try.
I'll second
Who made the motion?
Okay.
Ed?
Right.
Seconded by Mr. Cook. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, gentlemen, we have a transfer of funds to do. You should have a copy of it. We're transferring from DA 599 fund balance of debit $10,000 to DA 960 appropriation of $10,000 to be added to the account of DA 5130-2. That's equipment. That's $10,000. That is for the purchase of the sander. What else are you short on?
Slusher.
Slusher. Sander and slusher. That is money that's coming from the FEMA monies that came in.
I make a motion, we transfer $10,000.
Motion by Mr. DeMars. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second, Mr. Trahan. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call vote. Mr. Willett?
Aye.
Mr. DeMars?
Aye.
Mr. Cookman?
Aye.
Mr. Trahan?
Aye.
Supervisor votes aye. Budget workshop. Now your work begins. Now you're going to get into trouble. Okay, gentlemen, how about a budget workshop first Monday or Tuesday in October?
First one.
First Tuesday, we've got a vote on a first Tuesday. Is there a second to that vote? Nod of a head on the first Tuesday.
Second.
Nod of a head on the second Tuesday.
I don't care either one.
You can't keep?
I said either one.
Okay, so it's Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month in October, budget work session. You can dress in no clothes.
What time?
What time is convenient for you, gentlemen?
6 o'clock? 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, favorable by everybody.
Don't make me.
6 o'clock it is, gentlemen.
And
What's
advertise
the
it.
date on that? The 5th.
Gotta advertise.
5th of October. 5th of October.
Okay, that's done, that's good. Well, I think that's all you hear from me tonight, gentlemen. All right, let's go to committee reports. Mr. Tran, Mr. Bartz on the building committee. Anything?
Building committee, I have the siding, the porch, all the exterior work is done. And that's all that we had going in the construction project. It's all done.
May I compliment you on that? It's very nice, it looks very good.
There's a little sign in the front, that's all.
I was very, some people were very happy that we had that obstacle removed from out of there,
Obstacle.
that yellow obstacle. But yes, it looks very nice.
We have to have a place to put stuff. Cut the cost somewhere.
You always get somebody complains about something, huh? Brad, anything?
No?
Grants Committee, Mr. Cookman, Mr. Willett?
Nothing.
No, Brad. Board of Assessment Review, Mr. Wallet?
No.
Highway Committee, Mr. Tran, Mr. DeMars?
Highway on Stony Point Road. I was asked to go down there with Sam months ago, went down and I gave him all the cubic yards that are needed to do this job. And Sam came up with a price to do the work.
I think we figured about 300 yards of stone or rough gravel, right?
Right.
That's a turnaround?
Turnaround. That's a turnaround, yes.
Probably about 80 yards of topsoil, gravel, I mean, for 12 inches thick. Then we gotta cut trees, haul the debris out. We're probably talking any place between $4,000 and $5,000.
You gotta get a permit from the state.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've waited on
100
that.
permits now.
100.
You got 3 permits, 3 agencies to go through. This, you know, you'll have to allocate this money for next year because there's no way you'll get those permits this year.
No.
Are you gonna raise a road the same time you make this turnaround?
No, that's not in it.
No?
This is the turnaround only.
That's only the turnaround.
Then you're gonna have to raise a road.
That wasn't brought up yet.
When it floods out, you can't run a school bus down there. That means more money.
Right.
Got a point.
It's gonna be expensive turnaround before we're done.
First time the bus can't get down there, they're gonna say, you know,
No.
gonna improve that road so they
How
can
much
get
money you
down
want to spend
there.
down there?
You're gonna spend a lot before you're done.
I know that.
Is there just one family that goes to school down there?
So we had requested for here before.
No.
We were asked to look into this, and that's what we did. If you want to raise the road, well, we can go into that too.
I think it was
Get a price on that.
DEC came down there with us, right?
Yeah, we had a DEC on this deal here, but if you want to raise the road, we'll have to figure out what the cost is of that.
Well, does anybody know how much you gotta raise it?
The shoot elevations, the whole road.
What does it go under at the about 101, 102?
It'll be over 102.
Got to be over 102.
So the road should be near the 103 point.
The lake's never been 102, has it?
Got close.
This
But the
year.
road's never been flooded then? Yeah, they
Oh,
closed
yeah.
off last
Oh,
year.
that road floods
Flood
out.
last
It floods at less than 102. I mean, there's spot. He's talking about the whole road, you know, would be flooded. There are spots on that road that'll flood less than 101. I think about 101, won't it?
Yeah.
There's 2 spots that get flooded with
Never
100.
shot any elevations, I couldn't tell you.
The minute it starts to cover, you're not gonna be able to run a school bus down there. Get water on that road, that's it.
That's right.
Then our next problem is start raising that road.
And then you're gonna have the next problem is you make a turnaround down there, and people are gonna park down there to go fishing in the wintertime, and has the buses still gonna turn around? And who's gonna patrol it? You put up signs, but who's gonna patrol it to enforce the signs? I think we gotta really look at this again.
No question about it. If you raise the road, you gotta blacktop it.
You gotta go through the permit system to raise that road, too.
What?
Gotta go through all the permits to raise.
When you raise the road this time, you're gonna have to put screens along both sides of that road, so it's not gonna be a cheap job. Put fence.
What is the distance of that road? Anybody know?
What? Distance?
How long is that?
I didn't know, I can't remember now.
It's 9410s,
Huh?
410s, pretty half a mile, eh?
Oh, yeah, it's over,
Between 6
we
and
we had it
7
the day we were out there, we had it, I can't remember what it was.
Well, it's within the walk-in law of the school.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Some people's got driveways a half a mile long. What about that other driveway that goes down in there from the other side?
That's not a town road.
It's not down.
That's not a town road.
That's not a town road yet?
You don't wanna go on that one either. Definitely.
Oh, then you are in trouble.
Got some sinkholes in there.
That was probably 98 elevation.
Well, I think the request from the committee was to find out how much it's going to cost and if the board wants to do it. I think the committee's done their job. They've come up with a cost. Now it's up to the board to say they want to do it, or if you have some more information that you need before you can make a decision, I would suggest you let the committee know.
If you want to, we'll go and get the full.
Like
Total
Bruce is
road.
saying, if you do make the turnaround, is it mandatory that the bus go down there every day and pick them up, or as
Well,
long
not
as
if
the
it's
road's
water
flooded?
road.
I think it has to then.
What is the commitment, you know?
There's
There's
a-
water
Once the
road
bus
will
starts
go.
going down
Once you put a
there,
bus down there, it's gotta go down there.
it's got to go down there.
Even though those water road?
Oh, I'm sure, like Point of Rush, they must have to go around there, or Point of Fair.
Point of Fair, no, when the water was over there, they put barricades up and stopped. All the kids
Well,
had
if
to
it
walk.
was a foot deep, I'm sure, but if it was only 2-3 inches, the buses must have went around.
I don't know what the level was, Fred.
Could ask Grace, she drove it. But you could ask Mr. DeGrante on that too. But if we have to make that turnaround for that, to pick that kid up, or is he, it's within the law for him to walk out to the road?
Well, the property owner's the one who came and asked.
Yeah.
We'll check more into this thing for the rest of it.
Okay?
If they're not going to go down there, there's water road, there's no sense coming to turn around. Probably take 2 years to get a permit anyway.
Kid would be out of school with it.
Right. College, but then.
Well, you say that, but boy, I'm telling you, you can get yourself into a lot of time trying to get a permit out of those people. Yes, he probably will have graduated from college before you get issued the permit. So, it's awful to say that. I mean, we're getting into a society where, you know, that's the way it's done.
It might hurt to finish.
Anything else?
They have a tendency to give the permits late in the fall, so you can't do nothing that year.
Now, and then they change your mind in
do
the
that.
spring.
My experience has been with it.
You're no DEC boy. Anything else from the Highway Committee? Water and Sewer Committee, Mr. Cookman, Mr. DeMorris?
No.
The only thing I'd like to have an executive session tonight on employees.
Employees. Mr. Cookman has requested a executive session on employees. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
A second by Red. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried. Landfill update, Mr. Trahan.
As you already heard, we have some good news. We're going to be able to monitor this twice a year. I don't just when the dates are going to be yet. Hopefully, October and March or May, somewhere in there. We won that battle. It's costing us roughly $35,000 a year right now. So we
Just
should
to
at
monitor.
least- Just to monitor this. So we should at least say $15,000. I will be getting some figures on it now that they okayed it, so we'll have for the budget. Last year we had 35 on there. And like this,
Well, last year we had, the reason our money was more last year was because we wanted to carry a year budget,
right,
you know, and we had to change that time period in there.
that's why I don't know
you
exactly how it's gonna run there.
So maybe, 30,000 was a lot.
Yeah. So I will be getting a price of Casella for the 99 year. And we have a little bit of work to do up there. Sam and I have been working on it to satisfy the DEC and Casella both on monitoring. And we have a few places to fill up there yet. So we'll have that done by the next month.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your efforts. It is a considerable savings just by opening our mouths, and sometimes it pays off.
Well, they wanted it plowed, so I told them we weren't gonna plow it, and I started it.
Okay, anything else from the board? Any member from the board have anything they wish to bring up this time? Now we'll move to the town clerk's report.
I have one question.
Question.
Mr. Beal is gonna get a new computer, he's got an old one. I've got an old one in the vault, everyone says it's worthless, costs more to
Yes.
fix than it's worth. And we'd like to get rid of them.
Yeah.
What's your...
What do you want to do with these old things?
Oh, what?
The old computers?
Throw them away, they're no good.
Well,
You don't get nothing for them.
Could you ask that down there if they give you?
I tried to get rid of the one I offered at St. Mary's and all over, and the
don't want them.
cost more to fix it, you buy a new one.
Best thing to do is throw them away. That's what we've been doing, it, the ones that are, they've been going through new ones, they throw them away. The old ones.
Well, we had, a couple requests from people that work here, thinking they might want them for their grandkids or something like that. But I really don't think they have any value.
They don't.
If anybody can show me where there's value in them, I'd be glad to listen.
Put them up for sealed bid. If you get $1, you get it. That's legal.
Well, we can do that. But then, I don't want to advertise for the bid because it'll cost me more to advertise for the bid than it is to... So at the board meeting, we'll announce to the public right now that we have, what is it, three? Two old computers for sale. We'll accept sealed bids on them next meeting.
Yeah.
All right. Is that worth the advertising? We just advertise?
Fine,
Is that legal? I mean,
I just
the
want-
value
we
of
don't
it.
have space to store them, they're cluttered up.
No. So we're either going to do that or throw them in the dump, whichever one's cheaper. Okay. Anything else, Ralph?
That's it.
Superintendent of Highways, Mr. Samuel Castine.
The only thing I got to report is that screening will be done this week. On our third week, we'll have it all done. And the machine's been working well. And we had a little breakdown today. They weren't able to screen too long, but we should be done this week. No problem.
I'd like to go out on the limb saying that that's some nice sand.
Yeah, you got no good find a pebble.
We're going to have any of those big rocks that we had before.
They wasn't rock, they were boulders.
Well, it is nice sand, gentlemen. You should really go up and take a look at it and see the operation. With the screener that they used this year, it was twice as fast, twice as much, and
One loader can't keep it going.
twice as better. The sand is a much better grade of sand. I would say what the biggest thing in there is half size of a pea. So you really should go up and take a look at the operation. If you want to come in the morning, I'll take you for a ride up and buy you coffee. Okay? Anything else, Sam?
No, that's it.
Okay, Attorney Van Ackers? No report. Okay, so you have post audit bills. Is there any discussion on the bills?
Yes,
We have a discussion on the bills, and Ralph, do you have a bill?
I have a bill that you wanted me to read.
Yes, that's right. Go ahead.
From Design Engineering and Land Surveying. The item is for professional engineering preparation of cost estimate and application to Lake George, Lake Champlain Basin Group for grant monies. Rate $80 per hour, 2 hours, $160. And then how do we get up to 320? Oh, then there's two.
There's two bills. I'd like to hold this bill and check it out.
Both the same
Yeah,
item.
there seems to be something wrong with the bill. I'd like to hold it and check it out. And if it is all right, pay it. If it's not all right, have it corrected.
Looks like a duplication.
Yeah. So with the board's permission, I would like to check that bill out, and if it is an okay bill, your permission to pay it.
Motion approved.
Any further discussion on the bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the bill.
Bill's been made, a motion by Red Morris for pay,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Cookman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We generally go back to the public at this time. Would the public care to make any comment before we go to exec session? Nothing to say. You have nothing. Okay, gentlemen, you got an executive session. I'll give you a 2-minute break.